Okay, it is Art Monday. Ooh, that was delayed. I almost set the entire box of matches on fire. Good job. That was bizarre. And oddly, not the first time that's happened. Alright, are you able to check on that food on the stove?
Yeah, I'm getting up to stir anyhow.
Okay. Alright, guys. We're here. It's Monday. I did manage to get the chicken finished last night. So here we go with that. On its shiny prettiness. I managed to find a brush to put on the brush on sealer that didn't look quite so streaky. It still feels a little sticky. Like, not terribly so, but the edges feel a little sticky, which I'm like, interesting. But it was a little bit thicker there. I mean, it's dry. I'm just not a fan of the tackiness. But it's alright. So there's that guy, all done, and ready to go. Now today, we're going to be figuring out the husband's Christmas gift. And knee, is that polyfill? Yes. Yes, it is. I'm going to start with a polyfill inside. Because I'm not doing armature wire this time. For good or bad, I'm not doing it. I got mad at the armature wire last time. Because I kept slamming into it with the needle and it just kept pissing me off. Alright. I don't know why I'm separating this. I'm just going to stab it all together anyway. But I need to kind of get our shape here. So I think we're going to start with the body. Right? This stuff actually kind of sticks to itself pretty good here. Kind of surprised. I don't want to go too crazy, too quick. So, we're making a creature for the husband. And I took the tiniest bit of Benadryl, and I don't think it was enough. Because my nose is still running. My post-nasal drip is still driving me crazy. Alright, so we're going to make him a creature. That's sort of an inside joke between the two of us, so I do apologize. It's not like I'm making something that anybody's going to recognize as, oh, that's a dog. Oh, that's a cat. No. This is going to be something that probably looks like it's out of a Dr. Seuss nightmare. Because if you can't bring your inside jokes to life, then what's the point? And I do know that you can kind of needle felt the polyfill together, because we did it before. Sort of. Well, we needle felted it to styrofoam and felt when we were doing the snow on the gingerbread house. And I was like, I don't have a whole lot of anything I can use for the core of this guy. Not really. If I'm not doing the armature wire, I need something to stab into. And I don't have a whole ton of actual roving. I have some, but I don't know if it's enough, right? So we'll start with this, and we'll kind of go from there. And we're gonna need to build him up. So this is gonna be his torso. And the husband knows what it's gonna be, but he has no idea what it's gonna look like. He has a little bit of an idea, but like not a dead set idea. I didn't pre-sketch this thing. We're winging this boy. We're winging this bad boy from start to finish. I didn't really have time to do a base sketch on him.
And based off your description, it would basically be a circle with legs and a head?
Kinda. More like a football. A football shape. I didn't have the money to get any football shaped styrofoam, so that was my other option, but I didn't have the funds to do that. That would have sped this along quite a bit, I think. But then there's the risk of when you're working with styrofoam or craft foam, I guess technically is more accurate. When you're working with the craft foam, hey now.
Did you stab yourself already? Oh god, please keep the unarmored fingers away.
No, I didn't realize it was gonna go all the way through, and it just barely grazed the other one. It didn't hurt me, but I felt it glide against my hand. I was like, oh right. This is not that thick. I always get so nervous when I see people put like reels on Instagram where they're needle felting stuff, and they look like they're going, I mean, obviously the video is sped up, but it even sped up, it looked like they were going pretty fast, and their fingers aren't protected, and I'm like, oh my god. I was like, you're either really stupid or really brave, or have the most fantastic hand-eye coordination I've ever experienced, because, yeah, no. Our little polyfill burrito here. So it's not gonna look like much to start out with. Actually, I want that to be a little bit longer, I think. Not quite long enough. Excuse me. Let's see if I can get these two to join up here. So it's gonna kind of look like quite the terrible chimera from Full Metal Alchemist. So it's gonna have like a dinosaur, like a triceratopsy kind of round football-y body. It's gonna have a turtle shell on its back. It's gonna have a tail. Its face is gonna kind of be, its face and neck are gonna kind of be a cross between a turtle and like a brontosaurus. And it might have cat ears. Was that stuff boiling on the stove or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll check it again in a few minutes.
Alright. So, I'm gonna see if we can get this guy. So, I mean, we have him attached to the other side, but this side's still not quite as robust. So I was like, well, you know, I have all that polyfill that's just sitting there. You need to finish sewing that chicken.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, we have all of this. It's just sitting here. We might as well try to use this as our core. And see what we can do. You never know, we might be able to come up with something. This might work. I don't see why it wouldn't. Like, we might as well. It saves me from having to, like, sew a shell together. Hopefully we can get this at the same sort of thickness the other side is at here. Hopefully. So I'm just trying to get the length of the body right. And if I run out of polyfill, which I might, that is a possibility. I do have some roving that we can use to bulk this guy up with. I just don't have a whole mess of it. And I was kind of shocked at how expensive polyfill had gotten to be when I had to pick some up for the gingerbread house. I was like, oh my god. I was like, really? I need a coupon. I don't remember this being this expensive before. But then again, it's also been years since I bought it. Either that or Joann's was very overpriced on their polyfill. I don't know. Either is entirely possible. Alright. Need to get this compacted a little bit more down here. It's not very solid. There's definitely a texture difference between the two. Question is, are you long enough? Is the body long enough? I don't know. Alright, so hope everybody's having a good day today. I would have tried to do a quick sketch of this guy also, but then I was afraid of my terrible, terrible drawing skills. It would have been like a 3-year-old drew it. Actually, a 3-year-old probably could have drew it better. Probably, considering I've never really drawn a dinosaur before. Okay, so that's kind of just the length of the tail. So maybe we should just make that the tail. Might need to be a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if I really want that to be the length of the tail. I mean, torso, you're gonna need to be a little bit longer, I think. Yeah. Alright, so let me attach this piece. Alright. Then I think maybe one more length. Yeah. See if we can get that to work. Really? My stupid incense put itself out. We don't have a lighter, do we? Husband? Do we have a lighter?
A lighter?
Yeah.
Not with me, I don't think.
Like
why?
a click lighter, not like a match strike lighter?
No, why?
Oh, because my incense went out and I don't want to light a match around the polyfill.
Yeah, just give me the incense. I'll get it lit for you.
I don't know if the lid dripped down on it and put it out or if it suffocated itself. Ooh, went into the needle protector there. All right. So let's get that. Sometimes the area that I've got it sitting in doesn't have the greatest airflow. So if there isn't like the tiniest little bit of air moving, sometimes it does put itself out. I've noticed it seems to burn more consistently before going out if I have a fan on. But it's a little chilly to have the fan on. And I certainly can't have the space heater on because I've got all the fluff sitting in front of it. Oh, we've gotten some polyfill in our mat. Let me pull that out. Before it gets too attached. Alright. So, let me grab a bit more of this. Alright, yeah, that should be about the right length, I think. At least for the torso. That's probably gonna need a little bit more fluff. Do do do. Do do do. Alright, let me get this all. Alright. Well, actually, let me kind of create an opening. There we go. We'll combine you two here. Just kind of overlap you guys. And use you as our connection point. Or we'll try to use you as our connection point, rather. We'll see how that goes. I mean, this is pretty good. That's pretty solid down there where the other two pieces connected. So we're just gonna have to give this end a little bit of work. And do our best here. To get this guy all good and connected up. So this end is now going to need a couple extra layers here to get that going. I didn't get any editing done last night. Sorry, I'll probably work on that tonight. By the time we got done doing everything else that needed doing, my brain was kind of toast, and I'm like, yeah, I really need to go edit now. And then my give a damn gave out for the day, and I'm like, nope. We need to just kind of dick about, and it's late. So I'm gonna have to make a title card, and then I was like, ugh. I was like, I'll work on that tomorrow. Sundays are always a bit hectic. Because we have game night with my mom, and it just gets to be a lot going on. Had to get a mess of dishes done, and I even only got like 2/3 of those done. Russell ended up finishing them. And then we had to put the bed back together, or finish putting the bed back together, and then I had a whole shit ton of laundry I had to fold, and one thing turned into another. And by the time I actually sat down, I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm done being productive today. Alright. Yeah, this section's definitely gonna need a bit more added to it. But I want to at least start to get it tightened up here so we can figure out how much more we've got to add to him. Alrighty. Well, it's nice that Stream Elements decided to join today. I know it essentially looks like we're just stabbing together a snake. And kind of at the moment, that's what it sort of looks like. It's definitely not going to be a snake. That's for sure. But we will get him put together, and every project has to start somewhere. And the start's usually not all that exciting, because you're just working on the base shape and form. Or putting in a background color or whatever. Alright. Oh! What is with me not hitting the large white target area today? Something that just doesn't seem to want to happen. Alright. Let's grab another bit of fill here. So this isn't batting, it's actual polyfill, so it's in kind of clumps. Or is it fiber fill? No, it's polyfill. Dry polyester packing. I mean, batting would probably work just as good. I just don't have any. Alright. Want to beef up our connection point here just a little bit. I mean, this is going to be on the inside of it anyway, but I just want to make sure. That we are good and secure. And that we've got our length figured out here before we start charging forth. It's a Momo. Ow! Okay, that one hurt.
Nah.
I know. There it is. It's like a pinprick. We're alright. Do you want me to get him, or?
No, he just has to wait a minute.
Okay. I just didn't know if you we're in a position to be able to. Alright. And this is why I don't do figurines all that often. Is because I can never hit the target area properly. Most of the time. Although I did sort of temporarily get distracted there when Momo got up. And this is why we wear the finger protectors. Now it did go through the finger protector a little bit, but we weren't seriously hurt. Where'd he go, Momo? Where did Daddy go? I think he had to stir the stuff in the oven. He'll be right back. Well, you're such a good boy. Momo's a good boy.
My boy's patiently sitting on the carpet waiting for me.
I saw that. I was surprised he didn't get mad.
Well, I told him I'd be right back, and I was.
Alright. So I think after this, our length will be pretty good. I mean, this side's not as tight, but I think that's okay. I think we can work with that. I think we can work with it. I mean, we're going to be wrapping more around it. I just want to make sure that we are, oh, Kofi Bot's here, that we are pretty good and solid before we start adding more on there so we don't become misshapen. And we're slowly advancing forward here. Along our length a bit.
Is it time for an unboxing video?
Did it come?
Is it time for an unboxing video?
Did it come?
Oh yeah.
Yay!
I know. Get you good.
The gouache is here, everybody. Yay! That's exciting. Thank again to Keyvamp from Espercat Studios for the gift of gouache. Off of our Amazon wish list. Okay, we're slowly advancing forward here. ever so slowly. Just want to make sure that we are good and solid here. And you can tell, I mean, it's also a preference on how solid you want your piece to be. But you can tell when you're working on something, the density of it when you touch it, if it's loosely stabbed through or if it's tightly stabbed through. Like, I can tell that this end is still very loose and not actually been attended to yet. But we're getting there. I don't might not seem like it, but we are. Okay, so that section looks pretty good. We're going to start to move forward a little bit more. I think that's little.
Yep.
Littles! She doesn't always call, or come when we call her. Sometimes she surprises me and shows up though. But it's not very often. Actually surprised she wasn't in here looking out the window. Seems to be one of her more go-to spots. Although lately she's been in my mom's room guarding a Christmas present that's not hers. Alright. We're almost there on this pass. Don't know if this end's gonna need any more fluff on him. Not quite sure. We're getting some small amount tapped into our mat, and that's okay. That's what the mat's there for. So we can stab through it. Oh, he's long enough where he's going off the screen. We might have to adjust our camera at some point while we're working on this guy. Might have to zoom out a little bit more. I hope not, because then you're going to see more of my messy desk. Our messy, dusty desk. I need to get the feather duster in here. Alright, so this end definitely isn't as dense. Okay, so now I have to try to get a football shape out of this guy. If at all possible. This end doesn't feel as tight. So I guess we didn't compact him as much. This might have been a connection point too. Possibly. All right. I guess it's not super imperative that it's the same density. It's close to the same density. But at the same time, part of me's like, oh, I don't know. Well, so far we've exceeded in making a stick, I suppose. I have a couple of styrofoam balls that I could probably attempt to toothpick together into the right shape, but if I hit the toothpick, I could break the needle too. I really don't want to break a needle. But I started to say this earlier, and I don't know if I ever finished the thought. When I use styrofoam as a base, because I'm poking the same area so much, or the craft foam, sometimes it tends to break down and become a different shape. So, I mean, there's a chance that the football styrofoam shape could have worked for us, but there was also a chance that it might not have. Okay. So now we need to start to wrap our boy up here. Well, actually it's a girl, but technically I suppose we are making a female version. Alright, so kind of got that. I'm just kind of rolling it to get it attached so it doesn't really walk off on us. This stuff seems pretty good at attaching to itself. Alright. Poor Moses. We'll get your ear checked out tomorrow, buddy. His ears seems to be excessively itchy and we don't know what's going on. Alright, I'll get a bit more of this. Kind of rolled onto here. Shame we don't have this in different colors. I don't think it comes in multicolors though. It'd be cool if it did, right? Because then we could see the different layers going on and where we still might need some. Alright, so I keep turning him as we go because I really don't want to flatten out any particular side or section. It just makes it a little bit easier to keep track of that. So it's probably going to shrink down a bit here. Oh, a very loud pickup truck. A very loud pickup truck. All right. Work on, so like I'm gonna work my way out from the middle, kinda. At least I think that's how we'll do it. Sounds like a plan. And we have to remember that we kind of need to taper our end pieces down into our football shape. Hope we have enough polyfill. Alright, so this guy. Let's see if we start down in here. Hopefully we can get the shape right. Because if not, I'm gonna have some trouble trying to get it to look how we want him to. So one of these tapered ends is gonna have our neck. And one of the other tapered ends is gonna have our tail. So hopefully, sorry, I keep repositioning him because I felt like he was crooked. And I don't want him to get crooked. We kind of need him to very much not be too crooked. Alright. So, I mean, he's starting to get a little bit of a taper there, so that's not too bad. Everybody get your minds out of the gutter. It's not at all what we are making. Oh, my wrist just crunched. That was interesting. Left hand, I don't ask that much of you. In everyday tasks. Don't start getting mad now. Alright. This section up here definitely hasn't been touched yet, or at least it doesn't feel like it has. Still looked a little fluffy. So I keep turning it because as you stab in, it's gonna pull the fibers together and intermingle them from different directions. So you can actually misshapen something if you're not paying attention. Or you could flatten a side out without meaning to. So I keep trying to roll this guy. As much as we can. Alright. Now, I am by no means an expert in this at all. We're just kind of going with it. And seeing what we can come up with. Alright. So let's start back in down here. See what we can do about tapering this end in. Or at least start our taper. So it turned out that Planet Zoo live stream was today. I thought it was tomorrow. I wasn't paying attention to the date. Apparently, I guess the official announcement with everything that's going to be in this DLC is going to come tomorrow. But today's video, or live, I guess, was more of a teaser kind of deal to let people get a feel for what's coming. Though with the way people were talking, it kind of sounded like it was just going to be an animal pack, and I was really hoping to get some more scenery. Because somebody was showing a screenshot, and they were speculating, oh, we're going to get stuff for gift shops. I'm like, yes, I want stuff for gift shops, but we might not know. That they might have been reading too much into it. Or maybe there'll be a free one that's gonna have gift shop stuff with it. They tend to do a free update side by side with the DLC, even if it's just something minor. So I guess we'll find out more officially tomorrow. Or whenever they decide to send out the emails and do their posts and stuff. So we'll see. We'll probably get it eventually. If it's just an animal pack, we probably won't be in too much of a rush to grab it right away. We will end up grabbing it at some point. Alright. So I know this part's probably really boring and time consuming, but it's gotta get done so we can get to the fun bits. Alright, we gotta get our form figured out first. Before we can start slapping color on. Now technically I could probably do the whole thing out of the main color, but that kind of feels like a waste of materials when I have this polyfill that can be our core. That nobody's really gonna see anyway. Kind of situation. Alright, so I'm just kind of working back and forth, just trying to stab this guy into place while trying to shape him. And again, when you're doing the figurines, be careful. Pay attention to where your needle is. Don't be like me and stab yourself through your finger protector. I mean, they do help a little bit, and I will recommend that anybody using this stuff using these needles does get them, but they're not 100% foolproof. You can still go through them. But a lot of the times I just end up with a glancing blow, which is fine. Even one glancing blow by accidentally hitting the wrong place is still worth having them on. We're getting there. It's a little floppy in here. So I just want to make sure that we are good and attached. Alright, give me 1 second here. Sorry, I needed to get a drink. Okay. Let's see if we can get this section. Like the other side feels like it filled in so much better. Like this section's still very much poofy. Like you can just tell the texture difference when you touch it between something that you've already stabbed into and something that you haven't. There's something on my desk rattling every time, or it's static transferring through my headphone line. Not entirely sure. It'd be great if this changed colors as I stabbed it so I could see visually what we haven't touched yet. I mean, some stuff you can tell because it's on site because it looks a little fluffier. Alright, so it's not too bad. I mean, we're definitely getting some girth going here. For sure. Alright, so I'm just grabbing some chunks of our polyfill here. And I'm kind of separating the fibers out just a little bit, just to try to help us get a little bit more of an even coverage to him, her. Keep calling it a him, it's actually a her. I'm gonna add another layer here. Maybe on this side. We're gonna need to grab some more polyfill. Uh-oh. Well, if we can at least have enough to get the body, like the torso, I think we can make do figuring out the rest of it without it. Tough part is trying to get the legs figured out. And the same size and shape. That's my worst part. Because I have the worst time trying to make stuff symmetrical. Don't know why, but I do. This end feels a little more robust than this end. All right. So we should probably start down here. Now the beginning part is probably the hardest for me. At the very least, just trying to get our sheep kind of built up here. Even if we had gone with the wire inside, which some people do, or they'll use pipe cleaners. I think pipe cleaners would be too bendy though. Honestly. But maybe those are a little bit safer on your needle if you accidentally stab them. I don't know. Haven't tried using the pipe cleaner method. This is not something that's going to be done in one session. Just so you guys are aware, this is going to take a bit. So usually when we're doing the art stuff, I try to go up and down, but on this one, I'm going to be utilizing all sorts of different angles just to try to help shape this guy. As best as we can. Now I can tell that we've gotten him a bit girthier because I'm not stabbing into our pad at the moment. I am full on stabbing into just him. And you can feel the difference once you get used to doing it. I mean, we still have to be careful and mindful of where our fingers are hanging out here. But I am starting to feel a difference here, that we are starting to make some progress. So I might start trying to get his main shape together here. So it's kind of like a football. Kind of, but not exactly. So, like, our bottom's going to be a little bit round slash flat, like our underneath. Okay, so this side needs a little bit more attention. We haven't really given it very much. Okay, not really. All right. So this side, I'm going to start to tap in this way. I'm not sure which end is getting the neck and which end is getting the tail yet. I figure we'll work that out as we get there. I'm sure it will speak to us as to which end looks better suited for what. I'm not going to start to put the legs on yet because I want to get our body shape figured out here first. Before we worry about placement of other stuff. Alright. So I kind of still want to keep we're starting to get our shape, so I don't want to lose that. I mean, we've still got a good ways to go, but since we're starting to bring it together, just want to keep trying to follow our seam shape here. So this section's probably going to be more of like a flat shape. We'll see. I kind of want the bottom here to be a little bit flatter. Alright. Oh, I can start to get a good grip on them. That's promising. Or as promising as it can be from this stage. So you're starting to curl in, so I gotta be careful. Make sure that we're sticking with our shape here. So this is going to be my bottom. So I got to remember that. Well, his torso is almost as big. Uh-oh. I think a cat has entered the chat. Something on the other side of my computer tower just moved. The question is, which critter is it? Is it the gargoyle critter that is my? Or is it the little bits of trouble that is little? That is the big question. Alright. So I'm not sure. Should we start to work on your tapered end now? Just so you're not too misshapen by the time we get to you. Maybe. Might not be such a bad idea. If my camera shakes, it's actually not me this time. It feels like someone's about to get into trouble. Investigating stuff they shouldn't be. Alright. So I did add a little bit. Wait, no, this wasn't the end we added the extra to, was it? No. I'm kind of thinking this end might be our neck, like where our neck's gonna attach. Is kind of what I'm leaning towards now. The other end definitely felt more tail-like with how it was coming together. Sorry, I have an itch on my shoulder that I just cannot reach. Alright. Get back down to business here. Oh my gosh. An hour and 20, and this is all we have to show. Is a white fluffy torpedo. What can you do? We haven't had to get more polyfill out of the bag yet. And it wasn't a full bag when we started. It was maybe 2/3 to a half full. Something like that. So in this section, I can feel at certain angles that we are hitting the pad underneath. Just a little bit. Oh, were you still gonna make the fallout overlay?
Oh, right. Yeah, that might be a good thing for today. Ugh.
We might be checking out the Atlantic City one on stream either Saturday night or at some point this week.
I'm sorry, are you saying overlay or just icon?
Overlay.
That I do not know.
Like Planet Zoo's overlay.
I can try.
Alright, so we're kinda getting there. Kind of. Alright, so this was gonna be our bottom. So I'm gonna flip this guy back over. And we'll get to work back on here. Getting our shape sorted. He's also shrunk down a little bit than our original length, I feel like. Maybe not, but that's another reason why I want to make sure we've got him pretty compacted. because he's gonna like pull and get tighter as we go. Now in here I can definitely feel like we're hitting the pad, at least on the edges. Alright, so we'll put that there. Let's start to tap in our sides here. Now we'll probably have to bulk out our sides here as we go. That's not a big deal. Not really. And this will help tighten up this side. Sorry, I've got my hands in there so we can try to keep our shape, if at all possible. Right now it kind of looks like it's wanting to be a shark. Not exactly. That's kind of what I'm seeing at the moment, looking at our side profile here. Alright, we don't want to forget to come back and do this side. Yeah, this side's definitely a bit looser. And it's hard to explain, but you can feel the resistance from the needle going in different places of how tight and compacted your layers are versus other sections, or like how much resistance you're hitting. I don't know if we're doing an extra stream tonight. Depends. If I do an extra stream tonight, then I'm going to be slowed down editing. So maybe not tonight. Maybe one day this week, though. So do make sure that you have followed and you've turned on your notifications, because Twitter's a kind of a mess, and I don't know if anybody's actually seeing tweets that I'm making. Because I know I won't see anything from a couple of people, and then all of a sudden I'll see something, I'm like, oh, hey, and then I'm like, that was from, like, 20 hours ago, so... Probably just better to make sure that you have followed here and that you've got the notifications on so you don't miss any bonus streams at the very least. So we try to stick to our schedule for the most part when possible. Alrighty. We're getting there. But it's gonna take a little bit. So if you've decided to pop in and out on this journey, thank you very much. Because I do know this is going to be a boring one for a little bit. At least as we're getting our shape figured out. And bulked out. Alright, so that's going to take a little bit of time. And we did 2 layers of fluff on this guy. So that alone is probably gonna take a little bit to get all tapped in. Yeah, so I'm thinking this is going to be our tail end. That's fabulous. We are. That's how solid he is. You heard the sound come through. So kind of like a football, but not really. Maybe like a sub roll would be a better accurate descriptor. Oh, went through the thingy again. We're okay. Just be careful. It doesn't help that I keep... I'm like near the stitching line on it too, so... That's probably... why I keep going in. Of the angle. But we did that before when we were working on Reggie too. So Reggie was last year's creation. I don't think I filmed Reggie from start to finish. I had started to record it and then he was getting to be a pain in the ass to record because I had to keep turning him in specific ways because of the effing armature wire. So, it got to the point where I was like, fuck it, we're just gonna stream him now. And I don't think I bothered speed felting him because the recordings I had they weren't anything I could really do anything with. Alright, I know it doesn't look like much. And it doesn't really look like we've accomplished anything on this guy, but we actually have. Because I had nothing when we got started. And now we're starting to get a torso shape. Slowly coming to life. But he needs to be quite a bit, or she, needs to be quite a bit chunkier. So this one section I'm like stabbing into, it's just like the needle's just flying into it. So I'm like, okay, are you hitting anything that I can attach you to here? So that's kind of why I keep turning this guy. Try to figure out what we can do here. It seems to be kind of a loose spot. But man, that polyfill, that is felting up really nice. I mean, it's rough and scratchy, but look how compact and well behaved it's being for the most part. And that is pretty darn good. All things considered. So this section just doesn't feel like it's as tightly compacted as like down here, and it probably isn't. Work on trying to get this side tightened up here, because this side hasn't had a whole lot of stabbing action. Almost looks like we're making an aeroplane. We're not. We're definitely not making an aeroplane. And that I can assure you. I am going to take a break in just a minute because I have to go to the bathroom. I want to get this section worked into here. Now remember, this is our body. I'm going to attach the neck to here and the tail to here. Okay. It's not bad. Alright. For those of you that don't get the ad break, cool, just bear with me. I'm just gonna put the puppy be right back one up. Actually, puppy might need a potty too. Okay, I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I had to check food on the stove. I needed to stand up and stretch. And Pupper wanted to potty as well. So I know that long since ended. But we are back now. We should be back. Alright, where was my... Alright, this was my flat side. Alright, I know it might seem silly because I'm stretching the fluff out. Then we're getting, you know, some gappy guys in there, but kind of working for us here. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna roll that in place, or at least try to. Alright, so that's still our flat side. Yeah, it would be great if we had multicolored polyfill, so that way we could see where the new layers are. And how they're interacting with the other layers. Okay. So, I mean, our idea is kind of working with the wrapping of the fluff around. It's just gonna take a minute, very hot minute, to build up enough layers. To get us to where we need to be. Our fluffy, fuzzy burrito. Okay. Where was our... I think I lost our flat side. I think that's supposed to be our flat side on the bottom. Alright, so this was 3 wraps on here. This time. Instead of just 2, because I wanted to see how that would go. And at the moment, I think it's still definitely too soon to even think about adding our legs and tail yet. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna start to work on our bottom piece here. So this is gonna be our neck end, I think. So this might take a little extra stabbing because we've got the 3 layers on here. But we'll see how this goes. We'll see. We're a long way from the finish line on this guy. I really should have started sooner. So we still kind of need our somewhat tapered shape. Somewhat. Okay. As long as we can try to get a shape similar to our previous shape underneath, I will consider that a win. Especially considering we have so many layers of fluff on here. So this is our underside. Right now it looks like we're making a dolphin. Or not. Definitely not a dolphin. I don't think he would have the same appreciation for a dolphin as what we're trying to put together. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. The things my brain decides to do. And then I'm like, yeah, okay, we can do that. And then I'm like, oh. Start actually getting down into the nitty-gritty of it, and I'm like, Alright. Well, he's definitely gonna be a solid, or she's gonna be a solid gal. So I'm still trying to move around here. As best as we can. Because I want to work on trying to build our girth up now, which is proving easier said than done. I mean, it's still doable, just the way I'm doing it's probably not the best way. To go about it, but next round we can probably start to get a little bit more specific. I just didn't think we were quite, you know, wide enough yet. So I feel like it needed the wrapping to a degree. Right. So it will take a little bit of time. It's much faster to slap the fluff on here. See, of course that is. But I figured if I wrapped him, I'd be able to get it a little bit more evenly on here. I'm not sure if that was still the best thought or idea. I mean, we've definitely made progress. It is working. I just feel bad that some of this stuff takes a while. So I know you guys are gonna get bored and wander off. But from start to finish, gives it a little bit more of a realistic idea of how much time this stuff can take. I do find it fascinating that in certain sections here, it feels like I'm just stabbing into nothing. Kind of want to keep going with our bottom section here if we can. Like, only if we can. So there's going to be sections where it's a little bit thicker than others because of how thick our layer of polyfill was, and there were some holes in there, and a little bit thicker in some sections than others. Alrighty. This guy, definitely a lot stiffer down in here than up in here, especially right there. Like right in here. So that's kind of fascinating. This was my flat side, right? I feel like it was our flat side. I think I might start marking it somehow. So I had my weeks mixed up. I thought this past weekend they were having our town Christmas parade, Seems like that is actually next weekend, but it's supposed to be shitty weather next weekend. So I don't know if they're gonna have a rain date or if they're gonna do it in the rain anyway. I don't know. Okay. So we're definitely stiffer. And we're definitely getting thicker. So that is progress. For sure. So I think we're going to have a real nice base here to work with when we start adding in our color. So this is the side, or a side. Just trying to come back in and start to stab this area together so we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. Alright. Get this guy. So it's kind of fun to see how it builds up. So we have some of that other roving still, the multicolored stuff. We might end up wrapping this guy in that. Before we start putting in our color. Now that sounds like a different bark on a dog than the one that we usually hear. Oh yeah, we're getting there. We're making progress. You can tell, because this whole thing was this mess. Alright. Get this sorted out now. I mean, it is a slower approach, so we might start bulking up our sides next specifically. After this pass is done. because we are starting to get to that point where he's still not quite wide enough, but I don't know if wrapping's gonna do it. So we'll see. Okay. So I'm going to come back to our side here. Because this section is definitely still pretty fluffy. That's the only thing when we add 3 layers of wrappy stuff on here. It's going to take us a little bit longer to get it all stabbed in here. Let's see here. Back on this side. We haven't hit up this side too much. Right. So, yeah, that's our side. Just making sure I didn't lose where I thought I was. Because that is very likely to happen. Especially when we're working on something that's such a big piece. Alrighty. This guy's gonna knock somebody out. I didn't think he was gonna get quite that dangerously heavy, considering it's fluff. Promise me our other tapered end is in here somewhere. Promise, promise. Where's... Okay. I'm going to mark this. It's going to end up vanishing with the next layer of fluff, but at least that way a little bit better oriented. With where we are. Okay, so that's our bottom. So this is going to be a side. The temptation is real to start adding more fluff, but we need to make sure that we've attached what we've got here first. And this section's being a little extra fussy about attaching in. I know, Momo, I know. Momo has an angry ear, I know. Our efforts to try to fix it on our own are not helping, so we don't know what's going on. And it doesn't seem to be calming down any. So we have to take Ed in tomorrow anyway, so we're gonna tack Momo on while we're there. And hopefully they don't get too mad. Of course, Ed hasn't had an accident since those 2 times, but that's also kind of the pattern of when he first got the UTI.
Hang on, buddy.
That he did it twice. Really, Momo? Again?
Hang on, buddy. Hang on. You gotta give me a second, dude.
Just a minute, Moses.
Like, I can't just stop immediately. You gotta give me a second to log down, okay? I like how cool. I all the scratches and all the hits and all the foods.
Alright. Last night he was giving me all sorts of shit. I wasn't in bed when he wanted me to be, or he just wanted attention. We look like we have a rocket ship right now. Alright, so this side I'm trying to be a little bit more flat with. This is going to be our underside. Okay, so let's come back up here. Now, I haven't really given too much attention to our top yet, right? On this pass. I mean, we gave it a little bit. We will see. Did he actually pee?
Yes. It looked more like a marking than anything, but hey.
Alright, so getting this filled into here. Alright, get back to working on our side sections here. This is going to be a bit of a labor of love. I can tell that much already. For sure. What fell?
Oh, just the little cut things I got.
They weren't back when I was last out
I'm just
there.
gonna chuck these in my mom's
They being the mother-in-law and her sister. They end up having to drive the car instead of the RV back to wherever this vet appointment is at. And I don't know where it was supposed to be, if it was in Oklahoma or Missouri. We're not sure. No one really seemed to say. Alrighty. And they like, I don't know if they left at 6 this morning or if they just got up at 6. So did they take Tessa with them too?
Yeah.
Alright. This guy. So a lot of this is just the shaping process to get it to the shape that we are looking for before we start adding color to it. So it's gonna take a little bit, especially since I'm trying to bulk this guy out a bit here. Oops, sorry, you guys can't see. Right, we still have to come back in and hit up the top portion here. Alright. Slowly getting there, but that was 3 layers, or 3 wraparounds of the polyfill. And so if it's a thinner spot, it might take us a little bit longer to get it attached, because it has to find something to grip onto. Alright. That's still pretty fluffy. And up on the top here. Where's my, okay. Yeah, we still need to definitely get this guy a little bit thicker. Okay, so I'm gonna take some of this. And I'm gonna snake this guy this time. All on his own. See if I can get that kind of sorta. I like sneaked it and then I kind of undid it there. So I was like, oh, let's stretch it out. And I was like, no, I need this to be a bit thicker. At least a little bit. This stuff's great at sticking to itself. Okay. That hit the unprotected finger again. Man, I'm gonna be all full of holes today. It would seem. Now I know we're skipping some tag points here. I would learn to keep my finger out of the way. That'd be great. 'Cause that particular section isn't as thick. Alright. Just trying to tack this in. Where we can. Because we are going to have to attach one to the other side too. And this might be the easier way to start bulking our guy out a bit more now. Is kind of making our sneaks here. And working on getting them attached to the sides. So that's our bottom. And, you know, of course, one snake isn't going to do it. We're going to have to do multiples. And that's okay. So we have to try to put them on here somewhat evenly. If possible. Alright, so now we need to do one on this side. So we're good at making sneaky guys. That is one thing that we have definitely gotten a lot of practice in. I still have our bottom piece tagged. So I don't lose sight of that. Now, I didn't bother having any water ready to go on this one. Number one, I wasn't sure if water would work with the polyfill. And we really don't need it. Like, this stuff's been pretty alright to work with. So I will say, if we ever try to do a life-sized flamingo, I don't know if I'm going to use a styrofoam form on that, or if we're just going to have to get like a shit ton of polyfill or batting or something. Now that is something that would definitely take months. For sure. All right, so I just wanted to make sure that we got this end attached. We got too carried away. Alright. We're not doing too bad. I mean, we started with nothing today. Now we have a little white torpedo that we are trying to turn into our creature. Don't know if we'll be able to quite pull it off, but we're freaking gonna try. Okay, so that's our bottom. We definitely need to get wider though. We are not wide enough for what I want to do here. Like at all. Nowhere near. Nowhere near. Right. My mom officially thinks Russell and I are batshit crazy. Because when we were playing Scrabble last night, we were bored. Because the game wasn't going well. So I started saying, oh look, X number of pointy poos. And then we started the pointy poo choo-choo train. And she somehow thought something that we totally made up on the spot. We were somehow communicating with each other.
I mean, come on, she wasn't being serious about it.
I hope she wasn't. Somehow trying to tell each other what to place, where to place what letter, even though we had no idea. Beautiful black thimble. Yeah, my finger thingies, which aren't doing me much good today.
Oh god, No!
Did he get his goodie from going potty?
Yes! It's been like 20 minutes. Go on, go.
His ears are bugging him.
Hey, Momo. Come here for a second.
Does he want some Benadryl? Because he keeps rubbing his ears.
Alright, go on, go.
So he definitely needs
go on,
to...
I just took you out. None of that.
Either that or he wants combies, but I can't stop and comb him right now. Really protect... It depends on the angle and the force you have behind the needle. There's times where I've like hit down here and just like glanced off. Today, because of the thickness of this thing, I've had a little bit more force behind it. So I have actually stabbed myself through it a couple of times. But on the plus side, I didn't really hurt myself that much. It was like a sewing needle pinprick. It could have been worse if I didn't have them on there, because it did slow it down. So I still suggest that people use them. Just to keep a more serious injury from happening. So, not sew protection. It's so-so. It depends. But mine are also have a couple of years of wear on them, so I don't know if I just need new ones now. These weren't that great. They came out of like a multi-tool kit, so they sell them separately. I just haven't picked up any more yet because I haven't had the money to. So if bought separately, those ones might be better, but they help a little bit. So we are working on the torso of the needle felted creature that we are making for the husband's Christmas gift. It's kind of something out of my imagination that's sort of an inside joke between us. So I can tell you guys what we call it, but it's not going to make any sense to you. So its name is Chungasaurus. It's sort of a cross between like a rounded, like Nerf football kind of Triceratops dinosaur body. I'm gonna try to do like a neck of like a brontosaur kind of thing. I know that brontosaurus had its name changed since then, but I know it as a brontosaur. I don't know what the new name was that it was changed to. It's gonna have like a turtle shell back, a tail, kind of like a brontosaurus tail. It might have cat ears on it. But right now we are just kind of working on making this guy a little bit wider. This is the bottom of the torso. And he needs to be bigger this way. And then we'll round out his back a bit. And I'm just using some polyfill. So like pillow stuffing. Because we had it laying around. That's what she said, yeah. So, have to work on getting the body to where I'm happy with it before we start to put on our feet. And I need to make sure our feet are sturdy enough to hold up the head. And getting the head on here is going to be interesting, the head and the neck. Alright. I had to mark which side was the bottom because I kept getting confused. So that's what that red mark is. I had it kind of flat, and then it kind of got turned around. So how are you? What have you been up to? How goes things? Right now, I'm just hoping I have enough polyfill for this. If I don't, that could be a problem. Time to get some brownie cookie before your wife steals it all. I know that one. Oh wait, which side did we just do? Are we putting on this side? I think we're on this side. I think. Alright, so let me try to tack you into place now. This stuff's been sticking to itself pretty darn good. Pretty enthused over that. Certainly gonna make things a lot easier. I mean, I have some roving, but I don't know if I've got enough. And actually, I might not have enough polyfill. I might have to executive decision the purchase of another bag of polyfill. I don't really want to go all the way to Joann's for it, so I hope Walmart's got it. But I don't know. Our Walmart has some craft supplies. But I've never actually looked to see if they've got any of the stuff. So I'm not sure. I might have to do that tonight, see if they carry it. See if the online shop's got it. Or at least if it'll say if it's available in our in-person store. I know at AC Moore when I worked there, we used to sell these big cardboard boxes of polyfill. I forget how many pounds it was. But it was a little expensive. Because the one lady I worked with would always grab it with a 40% off coupon. Plus her employee discount. And our employee discount was 20%. So it worked out pretty good if you had to get a big ticket item. So I do miss that employee discount very much. I mean, yeah, it was only 20% on regular everyday stuff, but we were allowed to use a coupon. We had to get it signed by a manager though, which I didn't really understand. I'm like, why does the manager have to approve my coupon? I guess to make sure that we weren't using more than one in a day, maybe. Maybe. Alright. We're starting to get somewhere, considering we had nothing when we started. I didn't have a base form to work off of. So this guy is all solid polyfill. So it's not too bad. Oh, that I missed the finger protector entirely. So that's not gonna help if you miss the protector. That poor finger today. That and my hand-eye coordination has not been great today. She ate it all? Oh no. No. She could have at least saved you a tiny piece. We have a chocolate chip brownie that we need to make, but that is for Christmas Day dinner dessert. We'll get some vanilla ice cream. And we'll do some brownie sundaes. All right. So probably, nope, not wide enough. We definitely need to go wider. Most definitely. Why does it feel so dark in here? I mean, the sun's kind of starting to go down, but... Oh, what did you message me? You know the thing on the head is transparent, right? Or does it just look transparent because it's on a yellow background? Husband.
Huh?
The thing you messaged me?
Uh-huh.
The thing on the head where the red circle is?
Uh-huh.
There's yellow behind it. Is that supposed to be yellow, or is that transparent and it's showing the background underneath of it?
Hang on a second, let me double check. Oh, that is supposed to be yellow. The background will not be visible, the big yellow square. I just didn't change the color of the background, sorry.
So...
The yellow will be there for the headpiece, but the yellow behind it, the big square, will not be. That's where the screen goes.
No, I'm trying to think of... So what, is that like a power armored flamingo?
Yeah. What else was I gonna do?
I didn't know. I thought you were gonna try to like put a Pip-Boy on its wing or something.
Eh.
Sorry, we're gonna do, we're gonna take a look at the Fallout Atlantic City, patch, I guess. I don't know if I'd really call it a DLC, because I think it's a free update. That's the neck of the woods that I grew up in, and we both worked in Atlantic City itself. So we're curious to see how they did with it. I don't know if we're looking at that tomorrow night. We might wait until Saturday. Because tomorrow may or may not be a shit show for us. With the 2 animals having to go to the vet tomorrow. But we will see. Plus I have to make sure that my Fallout 76 account transferred over to Steam properly. Because the husband had trouble with his transferring over. Because we used to just run it off of the launcher, but then I think they did away with the specific launcher. And they were allowing accounts to be merged onto Steam, or they wanted you to merge it onto Steam. I forget the exact reasoning. And we thought we merged mine, but I haven't tried to really log in and shit. I don't know if I remember the password for that. I may or may not have it written down. I've got like all kinds of notebooks with different passwords written in them, and as I switched to a new notebook, I transferred all my passwords because I can't remember shit. Especially with how complicated you're having to make your passwords now. Like, I don't remember what I decided to put in here. Some stuff I was like, okay, I'll write that down in a second, and because I didn't write it down the second I typed it in, the next time I went to log in I had to reset the password again. I'm like, I forgot it. Because, I don't know, I was distracted or something. Alright. So I know it's not real exciting at the moment. But every project's gotta have a jumping off point. And this is ours. But in all reality, it's not moving too terribly slowly. I know it doesn't look like it. But we're actually doing pretty good here. Was there still water in that the last time you got up?
Yep.
Okay. I'd added a little bit when I got up earlier. Alright, so our white canoe at the moment. Alright. So we're gonna have to add another snake to the other side. But I will say the shaping is probably the most time-consuming part of this. Or maybe the more tedious part, I'd have to say. Alright, so yeah, this side's gonna look a little bit bigger. Just seeing where it wasn't attached yet, because it's all the same color. So sometimes it's just kind of easier to... The hell?
Well, that's a school bus, but I'm also going to check because I think my family just pulled up.
Kids suddenly yelling out of nowhere. I did not realize it was school bus time. I didn't hear the brakes on the school bus. Oh yes, they're back. I can hear that new dog barking. They're back! Well, we had a peaceful couple of hours. Well, they were gone. Okay, so that one got its latest snake. It needs to be so much wider. Okay. Alright, so what side are we on? We're on this side. Alright. Okay, so I'm gonna tack that end down here. Or we're gonna try to. Okay, and then this guy. I mean, we're definitely getting some bulk on him. Width-wise now. And you can tell because this is our centerpiece, and you can kind of see where our snakes are starting to get added. I just really did not feel like fussing with the armature wire and then having to wrap the wire and probably breaking 3 needles by now. Because I'll have kept hitting the wire. with the way my aim has been today. I'd almost like to take some watercolor and just do a light pass by on this, but I don't know what's going to happen to this stuff if it gets wet, so I'm kind of leery of doing that. Like, I don't know. It might change the texture of it. And that could give us some issues. Oh, there's gonna be some sirens in a minute. Apologize for that. Sounds like an ambulance is gonna go by. Alright, that might be all of it. I don't hear anything else going with it. Like, I don't think it was a police car. I mean, I guess it could have been. Sounded a little different, though. We did hear a siren that we'd never heard before the other night, which we were kind of like, huh? But it turned before it went past our house. So we never got to see it. I have no idea what vehicle it was. That made that kind of noise. Alright. So I'm not too worried about filling out the top because we can get that with more snakes kind of like, you know, stacked around. Like, that's not a big deal. Right now, though, just want to make sure that we get our width correct. Or at least as correct as I see it in my brain. We'll have to see if we can even get this close to how I'm envisioning it. I mean, hopefully. So?
They're alright. They don't know if she's been fixed or not. Come on.
They couldn't tell?
I guess. I don't know. But apparently she's about 2 years old.
I was gonna say, that dog's no puppy.
Yeah. Well, if she's 2, that means she's close to her adult size and weight and everything, so.
Just the way she was acting, she wasn't acting puppy barky, that was
Yeah.
dog set in ways barky. So the mother-in-law's sister, one of the mother-in-law's sisters that she's been traveling around with in an RV. It's the sister's RV. Has always wanted a Doberman. Always, 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 apparently. And there was one from a shelter or a rescue down in Texas that had one come up that supposedly had been dumped. Don't know if that's true. And so the mother-in-law's sister was hell-bent on getting this dog, so they went down Black Friday and got this dog that they thought was 6 months to a year. That was supposed to be good with other dogs. That now the vet is saying, oh, the dog's about 2 years old, and after they were here a day or two, the mother-in-law was like, yeah, she's good with other Dobermans, but she's not so good with other dogs. And I'm like, see, this is why you don't go sight unseen and say, yeah, I'm definitely going to take the dog, when you've got another dog that's much older. Without seeing if they're going to get along first. Apparently they had to break up one dog fight already. Alright, what time is it? We still got some time. So this is the bottom. I'm not sure what side we're on now. I feel like we're on this side, maybe? I guess it doesn't matter too much. They both look kind of even. Alright. So tack this next bit down. But it's definitely something rattling on my desk, excuse me. Or it seemed to be. I don't know what it is. Probably a wire of some description. All right. So, yeah, we'll probably have to do a couple more side passes just to kind of get that built up a bit more. What is making the noise? No idea. But we need to get Momo to the vet tomorrow. Because he keeps rubbing his ear. And he's becoming obsessive about it and grumbly about it. And this is like a new thing that he didn't used to do. And we have to take Ed tomorrow. Because we don't know if his UTI came back or if it ever completely went away. So we're going to try to see if they'll take a look at Momo's ear while we're there with Ed. Hopefully they're not too mad about it.
No, I told him about it.
Oh, you did?
Oh, I told him I was bringing 2 pets.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're starting to get some width on the body of your Chungasaurus. Slowly but surely. So I didn't want to do the tail or the legs or the head and neck yet until we were sure about the size I was going to go with on our body here. So we're just trying to make sure that we're not losing our shape too much. Because it is a concern. We don't want to do that. And it's easy to do. At least for me, so I want to make sure that I'm still kind of checking in here. Making sure we're not getting too carried away in one spot or another. So right now it kind of looks like a white boat hull, H-U-L-L. All right. So we're slowly getting this guy bulked out, and this might not be done in time for Christmas, and he said he's okay with that. But we're gonna try like hell. So this is probably gonna involve either some recorded sessions or some extra live streams. We will have to see. How everything's gonna go. Actually, it kind of looks like a hot dog in a bun at the moment. Kind of. I'm just trying to flatten out there. That was a thinner spot because that needle went through the other side because I just felt it. Alright, so I just want to make sure that we're still... Oh, that's the... Oh, okay. Well, that's why that felt funny. See, this is why I marked the bottom. Because I was like, man, our bottom feels like it's a really different shape here all of a sudden. Like, how did I not tag in this section? It's because we were on the top. And that explains the thin spot I felt. Okay. So he's still got a little bit of flex to him. A little bit. I'm just trying to make sure we're actually attached to the side here and all the key relevant points. Just to make things easier for us down the road. All right. So we have our shape started. Starting to fill out a bit, but I need him a lot wider, so I have maybe half a bag of polyfill left. And we still have to do limbs. So I don't know. Alright. So it's going to start taking a little bit more. as we go. Shit, what side did we just bulk? I think it was that side. I think we're on this side. Okay, so I know we're just about out of time for today, or at least for right now, because I'm gonna have to go and figure out dinner and things. But we did get the gouache, so I need to figure out when I can slip in a painting stream. So I'm just kind of quick tacking this down in through here. Okay, so I'm okay with this looking a little flat at the moment, as long as we get our width. We can fix the flatness. Flatness isn't a problem. I think we need to be a little bit wider still, but I will deal with that later. I just wanted to get that tacked into place. Don't know if I'll be back later tonight. It kind of depends on a few things. But yeah, we're on our way. We're on our way. If I'm not back tonight, then I'll record working on it. But we're off to a good start. I know it doesn't look like much, but we'll get there. So, I hope you guys have a good week. If I don't do a bonus stream, make sure you are following and your notifications are on in case I do. Next scheduled stream will be Thursday with Coral Island, but I think we'll do something in between. Tomorrow we'll, I think, get the announcement of what all is coming out in the next DLC for Planet Zoo. They did their little teaser trailer today of what it might be, I think. Or at least what some of it might be. And we'll see if we're getting a free one as alongside the DLC. We might. Make sure you follow all the socials down below. We've got the Kofi, the Instagram, the Hellfire that is Twitter at the moment, and or X, shall I say, and the YouTube page. And sometimes some stuff shows up on YouTube that we didn't do on live streams, so it might be worth following over there. Or if you missed a live stream, because I'm archiving all of the live streams over there, plus with, you know, something dabbled in here and there. So I'm gonna go for now. Might be back later, don't know yet. Until next time, you guys, thank you for hanging out with me this afternoon, and have a good one.